Kevin Sidebottom here, speaker, author, and trainer. And I go around and teach sales organizations and leadership teams how to grow trust and influence with their people they engage with to generate higher profits and revenues. Today, let's talk about the best qualities for leadership. That's right. What are the best qualities? We're going to expose a couple qualities that we need to have if we're going to be a good leader. I'm going to show you ways that how you can actually improve yourself. What can you do to grow yourself and why? And we're going to wrap this up on one little tip that you can do to actually become a rock star overnight. Okay? So let's get into this. The first thing we need to know is what qualities we have to have. Well, trust is a great quality to have. We have to have trust. We need to be able to make trust and generate trust with those we come in contact with. If you go look at it, the successful CEOs and everybody and presidents all generated trust with people. They engaged. Okay? We have to also generate influence with people. And I'm going to get to how I learned how to generate influence and what John Maxwell really says about influence here in a second. But we need to be able to generate trust and influence with people if we want them to work with us. Because if we think we're in leadership and no one's following us, well, we're just going off for a walk. We need to have trust and influence with people if we're going to go anywhere. Here's what John Maxwell talks about influence. He says, everything rises and falls on leadership. What he also says is leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. So you have to be able to generate influence. So as a leader or someone who wants to become a leader in the future, you better figure out how to learn to gain influence. Now, the way I learned it was to actually jump into a sales role. That's right. I started off learning about leadership by learning sales, which I did not want to do. Absolutely hated that idea, but when I was talking to a mentor of mine, he said, if you want to lead people, you better know sales. Well, what I found is throughout my process of sales and creating my book and writing that process and creating that process, I actually learned that sales gains influence. People buy from relationships. If you can influence people, they'll buy from you. So if you know how to sell, you'll be able to gain influence. And if you look at a lot of the successful leaders, you'll notice that they have a sales background and they know how to work with people. So we need to be engaging ourselves. Now, how do we do that? Well, we can take trainings, we can read books, we can listen to podcasts. There's tons of information out there. You don't have to use all of my training. You can use anybody's training. But we need to at least be doing one training a year that we invest in ourselves to help us grow. That's right. Whether it's learning about trust, taking a trust building with our team, whatever it is, taking that training is going to be beneficial. So we take that training and we grow our levels of influence by taking these tools and adding them to our toolbox. The other thing we need to be doing is actually doing a debrief after those trainings. What is a debrief? Well, a debrief is basically coming back, looking at what happened, what we could do better, how this will improve everything. And we typically want to focus on the positives of that training. What can we take away in action to be better tomorrow? Now, here's a good example of a team that actually does this process of practice, then debrief. Practice, then debrief. The Navy SEALs. Now, if you talk to Navy SEALs, they'll tell you not all of us are rocket scientists and Harvard graduates and all that other stuff. A lot of them are very intelligent, but most of them are common people. But they follow, when they practice for a mission, they go and practice and debrief. What did we do wrong? What could we fix next time? Then they go and practice and then debrief. And they practice so much that when they get out there in the mission field, everything is second nature, even from drawing the gun and shooting. They are super successful because they constantly use the process of practice, debrief. So in our trainings, go practice and learn and then debrief. What can the team learn together? What can I learn out of the training, even if I did it by myself? Okay? Same thing when we read a book or listen to a podcast. Podcast you can do when you're running or whatever it is you're doing, you can listen to a podcast. Now, I know most people sit there and hate reading books, but here's the deal. I'm the slowest learner I probably have ever met, and I think my kids can actually read faster than me. But I read 10 pages a day, and I can read about 300 pages a month. I've read about 12 books a year for the past decade. Multiply that by 10 at 12. I've read a lot of books, and I've learned a lot of stuff just by following a simple process. Growing, being intentional, and doing it every day, you can do so. Now, if you can't read a book a month, read a book a quarter. Set your goal and achieve that goal. Make sure you can hit the mark, but constantly be trying to grow. By doing so, you'll automatically start working with other people, applying these things, and you'll build influence and you'll build trust with all those that you come in contact with. Wouldn't that be great? Okay? Now, I want to give you one last thing that's going to help you be a rock star overnight. It's going to help you. And typically, most people will overcommit and underproduce. And by when I say that, they say, hey, I'm going to do something in 5 days and I'll get back to you. And something comes up and they miss that 5 days. Well, now they've overcommitted, underproduced. Well, trust actually goes down when you do that, and your influence actually goes down because people feel slighted. What do we have to do? We do something that program managers have taught for years. It's called float. If we think something's going to take us 5 days, add a couple float days in there. So when you hit it, because there's always things that come up and we miss some of the marks. If we hit that 7th day, well, good. Now we're maintaining trust and we're growing our influence because we're doing what we say we're going to do. Well, if you come in and actually have that 7 days and you hit it in 5 days, what happens? You've undercommitted and overproduced. You do that enough times, you become a rock star and everybody comes to you going, how are you super successful? Well, undercommit, overproduce. Okay? So when you're in leadership, if you're going to do something, don't be ultra conservative where you never come out and commit to anything. You actually have to go and commit to something, but put a little bit of float in there. You'll be successful. Okay? So learn how to build trust and influence. Play the last thing, become a rock star. Okay? If you have any questions, reach out below. I've got ways to get a hold of me down there. If this video was helpful, hit like, share, subscribe, send it off to somebody that it might help. That's why I do these videos, to help people. We'll see you next time.